Hi guys, Ronnie here and welcome to another episode of my time trial project. Today I'm going to talk about the different kind of extensions and pad setups that I'm going to use and try in my aerodynamic testing. Now I have a reservation for a velodrome and a wind tunnel testing session for January, but those are just 2 hours long each, and that's why I want to get as close to a good position as possible with the help of filming myself on the trainer. And for that I'm going to use different kinds of aerobar setups. So the standard track speed concept mono extension is what I've got here first. Now actually, according to the UCI rules, this shouldn't really be legal anymore because you can't have a cross section of more than 40 millimeters in your extensions. This is quite unluckily 45 mil across in this portion, which is a shame because I really liked this one. Although I'm curious to see what the Trek Segafredo guys are going to use for the next season. This is the Ergo short version. With the long version, you basically don't have any chance of getting into the UCI regulations unless you apply for the exemption if you are over 190 centimeters tall, but that's very obviously not my case. So this variation is pretty much out of question. Another option that's out of question is the Zip VUCA Evo. I really like the shape and the rise and also the surface finish of this extension. It's very comfortable to hold, very beautiful I would say, but it's way too long. And the normal aerobar setups, this shouldn't be a problem, but because the Trek has its proprietary system here, you have to use this this part is called the mono plugin, and I'm going to be honest here, it's an utter piece of shit. The reason for that is that you get these clamps that clamp onto regular extensions instead of one singular part like that one. And the problem with these clamps, well, there are two of them. The first is that, well, they're not very good at clamping, because even if you tighten this to the spec, no matter which extension I use, you just, okay, it's not tightened now, but if you tighten this to 7 Newton meters, no matter which one of these you plug in, you can easily twist it with your hand. So it's rubbish at being a clamp, and not only it's rubbish at being a clamp, it's also in the completely wrong spot. As you can see, it's way out front to use any kind of extension that has a reasonable length if you still want to fit into the UCI position. So this part it's stupidly expensive and it's just wrong, and I hate it. I've been loving this bike so far, and I had a very good setup with the old rules, but this is giving me a bit of a headache. But yeah, that's it. I have to work my way around it if I want to compete in the nationals. So yeah, another problem with this, as you can see, the middle grid on there has a ton of options and a lot of movement for sliding it front and rear. With this one it's much more limited, and you just can't put this clamp in a reasonable position to use normal length, I would say adult length extensions. I have this all the way back and it's not really helping. This rail could be right up to this point, I think, with a bit of a redesign, or the clamps should be somewhere around here like on a normal bike. Yeah, stem wise I have the longer version here, which is great because it gives me a good position for descending on the base bars and also in the corners. I was thinking about getting the shorter one, but that would be a bit of a compromise, to be honest. And it's, you know, this, if you go from this way up, it's super easy to change everything. But changing the stem, you have to move the base bar, you have to recut and reroute the brake cables. That's ugly. So for now, it requires a bit more thought than I thought. But yeah, I guess eventually we'll find a solution. So anyway, pretty much I'm stuck with this little fella here, and I've tried a couple of different extensions. So yeah, as I said, the VUCA Evos are out of question and thus for sale if by chance anyone's interested. Then I have the VUCA Races, which present a bit of hope because these have a regular round cross section and the clamping area goes all the way, well yeah, this straight bit, you can push this quite far in. And the marking I have here, well, that's the position which I've measured out that fits into the regular exemption-free UCI regulation of 75 centimeters from the bottom bracket. And if I put it in here, you'll see how ridiculous this clamping area is. Yeah, this way it's legal. You can see it's a bit of a difference from a normal looking setup. But anyway, if I were to put I think my pad in any of these three positions, it would work. And speaking of the pads, I have two options here. So I have this old and trusty mono pad, and I can actually modify this to make it work again. So I'll need to cut this and drill the holes in the same way that I have it on this carbon square support, which is perfectly doable. And then I'll have a set of tilted and flat extensions. Now, the bit of hope I was talking about is from doing this modification, fitting this flat pad to the support, putting it on there. And a neat thing about the Trex riser design is that you can tilt the extensions upwards quite a bit. So this way I could use an extension with a shallow rise like this one, with a flat bar like this one, tilt it to 15 degrees and have a pretty reasonable setup. So that's one option I'm going to explore. Then the second one is using the pads that are tilted by themselves and then leave the support flat and use a high-rise extension like this USC 40 degree carbon model. So that's my second option. Actually, this can be used in two ways, as I'll demonstrate right now. So this one is the high-rise version, which is how it's supposed to be used. In order to fit into the height and the length restriction, with the 75 centimeter rule, I'll have to cut it right here where it is now. It's convenient because it's marked by the shifter entry port. So if I cut it right down there, then I'll fit. Or if I want to use an exemption and use the 80 centimeter regulation, then I can have it until this white marking. Or alternatively, I can use it the wrong way around. And then I've also measured out the position where this would need to be in order to fit. And it will look like this. Yeah, actually a bit more. Yeah, something like this. And I can use it either, well actually no, the 15-degree arm cups would be tilted too far forward for a setup like this, but this will be still usable with the flat cups and the whole setup tilted up. So yeah, a couple of options right there. And of course I still have the regular arm cups from that come with the Speed Concept. I was actually thinking about fitting those first for the aero testing, because those are the most adjustable arguably, and then modify one of these to the same dimensions. Then there are also a couple of other things that I wanted to try. So Trek include one of these spacers that goes on top of this bit and elevates the arm pads relative to the extensions. I only have one of these, but if I install longer screws like this, I could fit up to 3. So there's more tuning right there, which comes in handy because if you use this and move your cups up and forward, you can get away with the higher extension, the higher hand position, which could be potentially more aero. So this is not an expensive part. I'll be ordering 2 of these. And also I have the Trek includes 4 of these mono risers with the bike. I have 3 of these. I've sold the tallest one. I didn't think I was going to need that, but on second thought I might, so I'll be ordering that back. This is the second tallest option, and I need the tallest one just to be sure if you decide to go in that direction. I also have, as I said, 2 different kinds of stems. This is the low far. I have the medium far, but I don't really want to mess around with the base bar. I also have the medium near. So yeah, we'll see how that pans out. I think the seat position is pretty much sorted, although I've been told that the Trek works best with the triathlon-like up front position, so we'll see. And yeah, it might seem like it's kind of a hassle and it would be easier with a different bike, but I've also been told that this bike tests fastest for most riders, so that's a plus. Okay, so this is the progress I've made and the measurements I've made with my current aerobar setup. There's a lot more work to do, and tomorrow I'm hoping to do a bit of a position filming session. If you want to follow up on what I come up with on the time trial bike, or perhaps would like to know more about my other bikes, then don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.